Hey, Brian.
Hey, Jim.
I've got to learn to stop wearing plaid shirts on Zoom
Why's that?
because I move a lot, and when I do, they look like those those circles that make your eyeballs feel like the circle is moving. You ever seen those?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah, I
plaid
know what you mean.
shirts do on Zoom. They seem to
Well, I
automatically
think you're
move.
looking pretty good.
Huh?
I think you're looking pretty snazzy there, Jim.
What? I just like hearing it, Brian.
Yeah,
I just pretend I didn't hear it. So.
yeah.
So do you guys have any questions lined up already? Anything on your mind that you want to know from Badri? I don't remember who was on our initial call.
Um,
I know that he wanted to get back on and I think have a little more of a deeper discussion with deal sponsors only instead of feeling like he was talking to the general public. And I think that some of the pieces to his platform that are interesting is that he has a fund model that once you open it, it basically never closes. And so it's like an evergreen fund model that you can always use. So
yeah.
one of the things that maybe we'll have a little bit of a discussion on that. Hey, Badri.
Hey guys.
How are you doing today, Badri?
Good, Jim. Good, Jim. I was surprised. I thought it was I was just having a one-on-one call with you. So sorry. Good to see the others though.
Well, I thought if we need to have one-on-one, I have a little extra time but I thought that we'd use this as an opportunity to follow up with people that are just deal sponsors. I know we had talked about having a follow-up call.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm more than I'm okay with that. I just caught me off guard. That's all.
That's I
That's
apologize
okay.
for
My
that.
kids catch me off guard all the time. So hey, why not?
Yeah. No, that's part and parcel, right? Of being in that position. So
There you go.
I know you're able to pivot.
So I said, wow, all of them don't look like Jim. so,
So I know the last time we had talked, we had wanted to kind of give you access to the GOB network platform and let you see a little bit about what was going on there,
okay.
and get some feedback as to what you thought we might be able to do together.
Okay.
But also, and really what I thought we'd do today is give you the opportunity to interact with some other people that are actively pursuing deals, that are deal sponsors that might have some synergies with some of the things that you're working on.
Okay. No, perfect. Perfect. Let me just get, I didn't even have the presentation.
We don't, and I don't think, I'd
Oh,
like
no,
to have
no, don't worry. I'm not going to go into a big pitch thing, but it's just
Yeah.
nice to have some slides. That's all. So.
Yeah, I wanted to have you dig a little deeper. We've had a lot of conversations about funds, and I know that that's a piece of your platform.
Right,
And
right.
so I wanted I think at least for me, and if no one else speaks up, I'm just going to pretend it's you and me. But
Okay.
I'm interested in hearing more about the fund model, and also hearing more about um, the investor portal and how that works. I know that we have several sponsors that are using a couple of different investor portals,
Uh-huh.
and no one's really no one is on any other third-party platforms, as far as I'm aware, similar to a Fundrise or CrowdStreet or any of those type of platforms. So
Okay.
those are the three things that that I'd like to dig a little deeper on.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, thank you. Hey, I apologize, but I didn't realize I do have a hard stop at 11:30.
That's
So
okay.
yeah.
This is, I want this to be a time for you to be able to say whatever you want to
Yeah,
say.
yeah. No, if I'd realized this, I would have
Sponsors.
probably rescheduled the other meeting if I realized that everyone was there. So, but that's okay. Let me go ahead and get started. So how many of you have actually seen, I guess everybody will have to speak up, I suppose. I don't know what's the best way to do it. How many of you, I know Vinky has, I know Jim, you have seen a brief demo of Avestor. Have the others seen a demo of Avestor, the platform, what it looks like, or no?
I believe most everyone has, but we could
Okay,
get a response in chat if you want, for anybody that's never seen the platform or hasn't logged on to the website or anything.
Okay, okay, great. So because I didn't want to, I can do a demo maybe a little later. Then let's kind of talk about what our vision is, and then let me focus a little bit on the fund portion of it for now, and then maybe we can set up another meeting. Is that okay? Or if it really goes, let me see if I can reschedule the other meeting. But let's see how it goes. Yeah. So
Okay.
Give me 1 second here. Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you? Or good afternoon. I guess you guys are probably all across the country. So feel free to jump in here. I know some of you said that you have not seen the platform demo. So let me do that a little bit at the end, because many of you have seen it. And feel free to reach out to me offline too. I know a couple of you have already registered on our site, and I'm happy to talk to you about it. Yeah. So what I'm going to focus on today is our vision for how to make Avestor a premier platform for creating funds. We call them mini funds, but at the end of the day, they are a 506B or a 506C fund. Unfortunately, you have to still live in the legal law of the country. We can't make up new laws, I guess. So what we do is we provide a sorry, did somebody say something?
No, we're good. Go ahead.
Okay. So we provide a turnkey solution for accelerating fundraising, increasing your network, and reducing your operations using a concept called a mini fund. We have what we think is a very nice platform, and I'll give you a demo of that later. And the idea is you as syndicators or potential syndicators or existing syndicators, you're shifting from investing in single deals to building a portfolio. Your investors will start shifting from investing in single deals to building a portfolio with you. So you are maintaining a brand with them. I mean, you can create a fund where they invest in all your deals. Yeah, that's the basic idea. So what is a mini fund? A mini fund is a customizable fund. The keyword is customizable. You'll get tired of me indicating that. There is no other fund in the country which allows your investors to pick and choose your deals. So I've used this analogy. It's a little trite, but think of this like a buffet as opposed to a pie. Okay. Sorry, I don't want to make you feel hungry here, but in a pie, you don't get to pick the ingredients you're putting. You just, based on how much money you put in, you get a thin slice, a medium slice, or a thick slice, or whatever. Whereas this is more like a buffet where your investors can come in and say, hey, I want to put $10,000 in this deal, $20,000 in the other deal. And so that's kind of how this works, yeah? So investors here, and we want to enable completely new types of funds which don't even exist in the industry today. What do I mean by that? I mean, I know I'm talking to a bunch of multifamily syndicators or self-storage syndicators or whatever. We also want to sell slices of single-family real estate. We want to do rent-to-own, rent-to-buy. We want to rent by the room model. I mean, there are all kinds of different funds. We are talking to different sponsors. So creating types of funds which don't even exist in the industry today, yeah? So there is too much information on the slide. So let me give you the high level thing, and I can forward this to Jim later on, and he can forward it to the rest of you if you're interested. The main thing is when you shift from a syndicator, individual deal to a mini fund, or any fund for that matter, instead of raising capital for each deal, you can put all your assets in one fund. This is like an evergreen fund. Once you create a fund, it never, it's not like a defined fund. I mean, once you create a fund, you're always, it's an evergreen fund. You don't close it at all. And instead of creating separate documents for each deal, you have one set of simplified legal documents. And instead of a separate K1 for each deal, we have built a platform which will give you a single K1 for your investors. I can tell you our investors really, really like that. Nobody wants to deal with a bunch of K1s. Yeah, I know you can give it to your accountant. I know you can import it into TurboTax. But not only does it reduce complexity based on your situation, there may actually be some tax benefits for your investors too. And all the mini fund operations are managed by Avestor. So I'm contrasting a syndication deal versus a mini fund. Let me contrast a regular fund with a mini fund, a fund as it exists in the industry today. Some of you are thinking about funds. Maybe you've explored other fund platforms. Maybe you've talked to a bunch of people. I'm sure you've looked at funds. The main thing is for funds which exist today, there is no customizability. Whereas here, as I indicated, investors can customize their portfolio, think more like a buffet than a pie. And there is no set, there is a set entry and exit date. Here, the fund is created once and lives forever. Now, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but let me describe it at a high level because sometimes you go off in a tangent. We are the only fund platform in the country which calculates not only based on percentage, but also on time invested. What does that techno geek mean? What that means is you can move inventory capital from one deal to another and still get paid for the time your money was tied up. So maybe you put 50,000 or 100 or 200,000 in GP capital, but maybe you put another 200 or 300,000 of your money in a deal and you close it. Some people are even talking about putting $1 million or $2 million. And then you can slice it and start allocating it to investors 6 months later, 1 year later, and you still get paid for the time your money was tied up. Let's come back to that. I know you probably have a bunch of questions, but the basic idea is if you're willing to put some inventory capital, you can move that from one deal to another, and you still get paid not only the cash flow distributions, but a portion of the capital gains when the deal exits. And presumably, at least you believe in your deal enough to invest some of your own money, which you can slice and allocate to investors. Yeah. So again, investors can join and exit at only certain times in these funds, whereas investors can join and exit at any time. Yeah. So what's our value prop? Basically, we provide the complete setup for you. Unlike other fund platforms, not only do we give you a platform, I know you have not seen, some of you have not seen the platform. I will give you a demo a little later. Your users have a very elegant platform, but we also handle all your operations. We handle your investor onboarding. We handle all the reports required for accounting and taxes. And then you can process your earnings and allocate it with ACH. Just to be clear, the ACH is not quite ready, but it'll be ready in about a month or month and a half. I'm assuming nobody's starting a fund tomorrow. And then we have a transparent online portal where your investors can see how each slice of the fund is doing. If you have 4 deals, it's like they can see how each slice of the fund is doing, but you still get a single K1. And then, as I indicated, we do all the accounting and we generate all the information related for the accounting information as well. So what do you get? You get a sponsor portal and an operations portal. And then the investors get an investor portal. I mean, we can go into a more detailed demo some other time. But let me explain how all of this works a little bit. We want to become the Amazon of real estate. What do I mean by that? So in Amazon, Nike can create a store. Columbia Sportswear may create a store. An investor who comes to the Nike store may say, hey, it's getting cold. Let me buy a jacket in Columbia Sportswear. It's the same analogy. You will be creating a storefront in Avestor. We will never market to your investors. This is not a white label solution. It's a co-branded solution. But what that allows you to do is it gives you access to hopefully hundreds soon and thousands eventually of investors who can browse through to your fund and say, this fund looks interesting. It's investing in single family houses in Austin. That's a hot market. I want to get into that. Or it's a rent to buy model. Or this person has a lot of experience in the Sunbelt, investing in multifamily properties. It could be a self-storage. They can browse through to your funds and they can contact you, and there is no additional charge for that. We will never market your investors, but investors, if they say this fund looks interesting, they can contact you. Okay, so what we do, let me tell you what, to recap what we do. Creating a fund is more complex than it needs to be. I don't know if you agree or not, but there is too much legal paperwork. For one flat fee of $10,000, we handle everything for you. It's the legal entities, state level legislation, blue sky disclosure, ERA requirement if required. We set up the fund on your portal, then we support your tax and accounting firms, and then we handle all your operations. For handling, what does that mean? We set up your investments, we do registration, accreditation check and everything else. We allocate investors to investments, do the pro rata share, do the accounting reports, and do the single K1, which people really like. So the initial setup is a flat fee of $10,000. We can certainly talk to the GOB network if it's a large network of people to see if we can discount it further. And then we charge 50 basis points of the investor assets under management for ongoing operations. And that includes access to the portal. It includes all the various things I talked about. So I will pause for a second. I don't want to make this a one-way thing. I'll pause and see what kind of questions you have. Hopefully that kind of describes what the fund looks like. I know I didn't do a demo of the portal, but I can do that time permitting a little later.
So
Does this even make sense?
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and ask Badri any questions.
Hey, Badri, I've got a question.
Real quick question.
Oh, someone else gone? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kron.
Tim, you are the gatekeeper. You get to decide who speaks first.
Badri, you mentioned that the pro rata is based on time and percentage for investors' capital. I'm wondering if that adds liquidity to the equation, if they can actually get their capital back out at any time.
Theoretically, yes, but right now we are not set up. Once you invest in a slice, but maybe down the road, we might create a secondary marketplace where they can say, hey, I really need the money. I want to get out of it. But I don't want to commit to that right now. We don't have that right now. But yes, that's an excellent question. Yeah, theoretically, it could do that. But right now, your investors, once they invest in your thing, is similar to what you have done. I mean, they have to wait until the deal exits.
So right now, we are actually about to go live with one of our funds. In that fund, we are integrating the 506C with a Reg CF. Is that something that you are able to do with the mini fund, is integrate Reg CF into that?
No, unfortunately, right now it's a Reg D, 506B, or a C right now. So
maybe I missed this in the front part, but does this replace, so for our investor relations, we use AppFolio. Would this basically replace that, or does this work? Does this integrate into those type of investor portals? This
would replace a large portion of it. One thing this doesn't have, for example, is a CRM. We want to integrate into a CRM. Most people we talk to will say, we don't want you to provide the CRM. We like certain CRMs. We would rather integrate into it. So right now, you'll have to use external CRM, but we would integrate it. So it's a little more complex question. It replaces a large portion of it. Really, the idea here is if you want to, you use this platform, if you want to create an evergreen fund, which allows your users to customize and pick and choose what investments they want to invest in. And our investors, Avestor has a fund also, a pilot fund. It's more to prove the concept of the platform. Really, really like the ability to customize on the single K1.
Another quick question. Sorry to take a.
No worries.
So the third party that we're using to create our Reg CF, and we're actually running a portion of the 506C through them as well. I know you said you don't market to our investors, but would you also raise money? And if so, what would the fee be for that?
No, we don't try to market directly to the investors, because then that makes us a biased. So we don't charge for marketing to investors. So we are not really a crowdfunding platform. We are a platform which allows you to create customizable funds. And not that we cannot do that. I mean, I suppose it's always good to have additional source of revenue, but then that creates conflicts. So, then it won't be a safe place where if we are marketing to your investors, then it becomes problematic. Having said that, Avestor have their own funds, which we'll treat like any other funds. We have invested in over 30 plus deals. So this is a slightly different conversation. We are more than happy to invest in your deal as a passive investor, and we cut that and slice that and allocate it to our investors. So if you have a deal you want us to evaluate, we do have a complex mathematical model. We look at 30 different variables, dozens of variables, let's say. I don't know if it's precisely 30, to see if it passes our criteria. If it does, today we invest between 50 to 100,000, but we probably will start increasing that. Because the reason we don't want to invest $500,000 or $1 million, we would rather invest in $500,000 deals than one $500,000 deal, because it builds a diversified portfolio for our users. So two separate conversations. If you want to use Avestor to create your own fund, that's a different discussion. If you want us to invest in your deal, we are more than happy to evaluate. I think Winky can attest to the fact that we did invest in her deal. So, and we're happy to look at other deals. We're always looking at money. In fact, we have money sitting, burning holes in our pocket right now, but we are very picky about who we invest with. So
I'll take some of that money.
A follow-up question to that: with the investors that have access to all the other funds, if someone was, say, a capital raiser and that's all they did, what would stop them from losing, having bleed out with their investors, providing that you're providing access to all the other funds? I guess that's the concern I have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. The question I guess you have to ask yourself is, do you really believe your investors will invest only with you and nobody else? If you do, good, you have found a good collection of investors. And so we don't market to the investors. I mean, we are trying to make it very convenient, a single login. And so where they don't have to create logins in multiple platforms and multiple funds. And so all we are doing is you can browse through it. I mean, but they can browse through there. I mean, if you Google real estate syndication deals, trust me, you won't be the only one who comes up in Google, right? I mean, so, but we legally commit to you that we won't market to your investors. But if another investor finds your fund interesting, it's up to you. We give you a marketing page, we give you a landing page, we help you create it. I mean, ultimately it's up to you to sell it, right? I mean, so, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully it's a net positive.
We believe it will, because we plan to have hundreds of mini funds by the end of next year. And we are also giving you exposure to investors who don't typically invest in real estate. I mean, for example, some people we are talking to say, I really don't like multifamily. I want only to buy single family houses. But once they get in, understand the platform, then they look at it. So you're getting exposure to a huge class of investors. I don't know if you guys have thousands of investors. If you already do, then I guess you won't benefit from this. But so yeah, there you go.
Another follow-up question. So if we say, hey, we want to do a mini fund, what is the time frame from us trying to start the mini fund to when it actually goes online?
About 4 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, subject to our attorneys, really, because sometimes they get backed up. But when I say attorneys, just to be clear, we are not attorneys. We will put you in touch with an attorney, and they will be your attorney. They'll be directly working with you. The legal documents for a customizable fund is very complex. We spent tens of thousands of dollars, but now we have a template. They can take that and modify it for your needs. So they'll be creating a PPM for your needs. I mean, you may as well create a PPM, which is like a kitchen sink. I mean, some people are doing, we may put storage deals, we may put a multifamily, you may put all of that. It's okay to do that because unlike a blind fund, ultimately your users are not committing to giving you money blindly saying invest wherever you want. They're ultimately picking one deal at a time. So yeah, I gave a long-winded answer, but the short answer is typically we should be able to get you going in 1 month. So. And that includes the registration, it includes all the legal entity creation and everything else. Yeah. So.
Does that then replace the need for us to have our own SEC attorney?
Absolutely. So no, let me be clear. This person will be your attorney. I mean, so you will be paying the attorney directly a portion of the $10,000 fee, a large portion of it. We are not trying to make money on it actually. And so he will be your attorney. And the only reason we are able to do it at a low cost is because we are providing all the templates. So we are trying to automate the process. And here is something else. I'm not quite ready to share who we are doing this. We are planning to completely streamline the process of creating an IRA. So it's so hard to do it. You come in here, your investors can automatically invest your IRA money at a very small fraction. I know there are a lot of custodians out there, but in the same platform, that's not ready yet, but we are working on that where your investors can in part of the same onboarding process can say, hey, instead of this, I just want to use my IRA money, boom, it goes, instead of all the manual paperwork and everything else. So what we would like to do, hey, I could reschedule the other meeting. Can people go beyond 11:30, or if you're anyway stopping at 11:30, I don't want to reschedule the other meeting.
No, I'm still good, Badri. I'm good up until top of the hour.
Okay, give me 1 second, please. I'll just send an email out.
So everyone take this opportunity to
think of questions.
jot down any questions that you may have.
Given that, I can actually do a demo too, so.
Let me know as soon as you're done there, Badri. I have.
Yeah, sorry, 1 second, I'm almost done.
And Jim, the recording will be available because I missed the initial piece of it.
Sure, Rick. Yeah, I'll put it on the GOB platform for all the deal sponsors.
Okay, thank you.
So Badri, I had a quick question. So with this platform, would people be able to invest in like single family portfolios? Is that what you were saying earlier? I might have missed it.
Yeah, 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. So the intent of this platform is to create new types of real estate funds which don't even exist in the industry. So today, there are not many places where you can buy and say, hey, I want to buy slices of single family houses across the country. Do I have that ready today? No, but we are talking to realtors, for example, who are interested in creating that. And we are talking to other, not only single family, right? Duplexes, quadplexes. So yes, that is the intent, but I want to be clear, since we're recording, I don't have it ready yet, but we are working on it.
Badri, when you say a slice, so dive into that a little bit deeper. So typically we would have a PPM and say that minimum investment is 50 grand.
Uh-huh.
So if you're saying the investors have an opportunity to buy a slice, what does that look like? What do you mean by that?
It's up to you, because it's your fund. I mean, there are two separate conversations. Today in Avestor, you want me to go ahead and digress a little bit and give a quick demo of Avestor, or let's continue this conversation. I'll do that 10 minutes later. So today in Avestor, we offer self-storage, multifamily, retail, and we do both syndication deals and debt deals. And you can invest as little as $2,500. I know you guys are laughing. Who wants to do $2,500 per deal? And $500 per debt deal. When I said debt, I mean hard money loans. So that's what we do. But if you create your fund, it's up to you. You can say maybe the minimum investment per deal is $10,000 or $5,000. that is completely up to you, because at the end of the day, the platform, you're using your PPM, your documents. Yeah. So.
And of the $10,000 onboarding fee, roughly what dollar amount is going to the legal piece, to the attorney?
A rough, significant portion, 60 to 70%.
Okay.
55 to 70%. We are just trying to keep it clean, because sometimes the legal fees vary, but we are trying to absorb the variation so that you come in, hey, I'm putting 10,000. It's an easy number to remember. And we can certainly, I can't discount the attorney any further. I mean, we don't want to pay money out of our pocket. But for the GOP network, if there are a number of people interested in the fund, the small remaining portion, we can discount it further,
So in that regard, for someone that already has a fund, let's say Corey has already created his fund. Have you thought through the possibility of allowing him to come onto the platform with the legal piece already in hand?
Oh, absolutely. You could, but the problem is that a customizable fund opens up a complete new can of worms. So if your attorneys are willing to add all the customizable nature and all that language, we can provide them the templates. It just creates complexity. It's much easier if you start with our attorney and our PPMs, but it's completely up to you. Yeah. So.
So if we're interested in that, how would we proceed to see what that might look like?
But I think that's conversation better done offline. So you're saying you don't want to use our attorney, but
well, I'm saying if we already have a fund that we've already started.
Okay.
And right now you guys have not tackled the Reg CF piece, but many people that are on the platform are very interested in that piece and have already tackled it and have already figured that piece out. And so if they have that fund, let's say it's a blended Reg CF with a Reg C. If they've already figured that piece out and they have the fund, then want to bring it to the marketplace, what does that look like and how do we proceed with that?
The short answer is I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'll have to discuss with my partners. I don't want to give an off-the-cuff answer, especially for a Reg CF. I don't know if you're ready for that. I have to understand what the backend implications are. Right now, this is a 506C or a 506B fund, So
just as a point of reference, when you talk to your team, 90% of the language is the same between a 506B and a 506C. There's only a few minor differences, correct? Same thing with Reg CF. It's basically the same language as the 506B and C with just a few lines that are different. So they're not, it's not like, they're all horses. It's not a horse and a cow. So they're very, 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 very similar in nature. So just, knowing that going in and having discussion with the partners, because I know sometimes you can think there's pieces that can be so different that it's just going to muddy the water and we just don't want to deal with it. But it's really not that. So just as a point of reference.
Okay, I may come back to you with some questions because it's not the legal language we are worried about. It's really because we are not registered as a crowdfunding platform. We are not a crowdfunding platform. That's not the intent, right? So once you start using it as a crowdfunding platform, there are certain things we have to go through the SEC regulations. And my partner is more familiar with some of those rules. And right now, a conscious strategic choice was we will not do the CF right now. So that's the issue. It's not just, I'm not talking just about the PPMs and the language in the PPMs. So.
Well, that's interesting. That would be a great conversation to have, because from my view, if we brought the fund to you, and we've already solved for the CF things, we've already taken on that responsibility. So we're seeing you really as a marketplace. You're not having to meet the legal requirements of the CF because it's already been met by someone else.
Yeah, really to piggyback on Jim's question there, so the Reg CF is going to be handled by our third-party platform. But obviously I'm assuming there'll be accredited and non-accredited investors on your marketplace. And so really the question is, if you have the accredited investors, we would push them towards the 506c portion. But if they're non-accredited, would we be able to then link them back into the third-party website where they could come through the Reg CF? Because like I said, and Jim has said, and he had a great question there, by the way, the Reg CF obviously can be accredited, non-accredited, but really, I'm assuming you guys are doing the third-party accredited verification for
Correct.
Okay. So really,
all that is included as part of the platform, yeah?
So we would be really interested in the 506c raising portion of that. Now, granted, we don't want to turn away the non-accredited folks because they still have an opportunity to invest in the fund. They would just have to be rerouted to our third-party platform.
Okay. I have to think through that, guys. I don't want to give off the cuff answer. Sorry. I mean, I wish I could, but I really want to think through that before I say it.
So Syndication Pro has a feature that a couple of the other guys were referencing, in that when you're trying to raise money for a deal, and you have, let's say, a 5-person general partnership team, and 3 of those people are capital raisers, and they don't want to share their investors with the other 2 capital raisers because they don't want to lose them, they don't want to lose control of them, whatever. And it allows each of them to isolate their investors so that the other investors don't see it. So what I'm asking on your piece is, we know that everyone has the ability to see all of the deals that are on the platform, but do all of the sponsors of all of those deals have the ability to see all of the investors?
Absolutely not.
So if on a sponsorship team, let's say there's 3 of us raising capital on that team, do all of our investors go in one pool, or does each one of us, are we able to keep our investors isolated, even within the one deal?
The idea here is, we are not trying to compete directly with Syndication Pro, to be honest. We are trying to, so it's really those 3 sponsors of the deal, each of them will be creating their own fund. The idea is you build your own personal brand. And pick the Jim Biggs brand, whatever the brand is. So you are controlling your investors. I mean, you are maintaining the relationship with your investors. You are giving them the flexibility to invest different slices in your deals. So if, for example, the example where you gave, the way we think of it is a little different, where if there are 3 sponsors and each of you are raising about $1 million each, you put your share of the $1 million in the fund. You're not necessarily all 3 of you, the others may not even be using this platform. And what you can do is that $1 million, you can start slicing it and allocating to your investors even now, 6 months later, 9 months later, if you want to decouple closing the deal from fundraising, if you have some inventory capital. If you don't, you don't. I mean, we don't synthesize money, unfortunately.
Along those lines, and it sounds like this is the case, but I just want to confirm that if investors come into our fund via your platform, we do get to keep that data, correct?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, yeah. And the investors you're getting is, I know some of you say you don't care about accredited investors, meaning you want non-accredited, but if it's accredited, it's verified accredited investors who's already invested in a real estate fund. There is no education involved. I mean, the only person who's looking at this is somebody who's already invested in real estate fund, knows how that works. Now, your fund may be slightly different. They may invest in slightly different properties, but you're starting at 10,000 feet instead of starting at 1,000 feet, you know? So I don't know if that makes sense. So I would love to get some feedback. I mean, does the concept of the mini fund even make sense to you guys? I mean, what do you like? What don't you like? What do you think of the 50 bips fee? And it's a good collection of people. It's probably higher than some of our competitors charge, but we are offering a different value proposition. And we are handling all the operations. I mean, so I would love to hear some feedback, especially from the people who have been a little more quiet. It's perfectly okay to say, hey, this doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I'm still trying to get better understanding of the mini fund process. I'm currently finishing up my pitch deck for a 506c regular fund.
Okay.
Not a syndication, a 506c.
Yes,
And
Sandeep.
I'm trying to have better understanding how the
Yes,
mini
yes,
fund will
I'm
correlate
just
with
changing.
what I'm working with. And if I bring a 506c fund to your platform, how does that look? Granted, I don't have a crowdfunding attached to it, so obviously it sounds like it's better for your platform, but I'm still trying to figure out how that looks.
Do you already have an attorney, Jeff, who you're working with, or not yet?
I do have an attorney. However, we still haven't done the PPM. So obviously, that's not,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, it's not done yet. So it's not a committed, we don't have them on retainer or anything like that. So
Okay.
we're always interested in other attorneys.
Jeff, it's a very simple process. Let's get on a call. Like I said, what you're getting is the platform and the operations. You talk to our attorney. When I say our attorney, I mean, he's not on staff. I mean, he's just somebody who's familiar with our template documents and everything else, and he can build from scratch. Build from that instead of building from scratch. And then you go through a questionnaire. It'll ask you some basic questions about what type of investments do you want to do? And then we create the PPM and we get you going. I'm sorry, what is the part which is confusing? So your investors will have a portal they can log in, they'll get a single K1, you get to choose what type of investments you put in the platform. It's an evergreen fund. Once you create it, you never have to close it. And since it's not a blind pool fund, I mean, it's okay. Investors don't mind because they get to pick and choose what investments they want.
Okay. Yeah, I'd appreciate a call offline.
Yeah. Happy to walk through the details. I mean,
Hey, Badri.
let me put my calendar link in the email if you don't mind, for anybody who's interested. Yeah. So, yeah, go ahead, please.
No, you read my mind. I was just going to say, drop your calendar link into.
Oh, okay, great. I'll put my full contact information too. Would love to hear from you. Seriously, it's not just, we're not trying to just sell you something. We want to get your feedback. What would make this a very compelling value proposition for you guys? So let me tell you what we have and what we don't have, but what we are working on. I told you, right? We are working on completely integrating the IRA process to make it seamless for your investors to get on board in an electronic way, not all this manual paperwork. Today, I've created an alternative investment IRA. It's such a pain. I don't know about you guys, but I find it a real pain to go through all that. We are also working on probably some educational content which you guys can leverage. I know you guys are part of the GOP network. You probably already have all of that. We want to give you marketing help to reach out to your investors. So we want to provide a complete package to not only create the fund, but run and maintain it. We would love to hear what would really help. I mean, we already talked about exposure to other investors. Exposure, not contact. We're not going to share contact information, but we are going to expose your fund, and then it's up to them to really talk to you. So we want to make it very easy for you to create business banking accounts. We are going to take care of the entire legal process. We want to make it very easy for you to do the regulatory filings. So there are some things which are already done, some things which are in works. So I would love to hear from you as to what would make this very valuable to you as opposed to okay.
So if no one's going to speak up, I will. For me, I'm looking at it from two separate perspectives. One would be the GOB as a whole, and what does it mean to the GOB, and then secondarily, what it might mean to me. For me, on a personal level, I think that depending on how soon you engage and what that looks like, there's a lot of potential problems that could be solved. So you're mentioning creating the IRA piece so that it's a simpler piece and something that people can move through efficiently and cost effectively. So I think that there's a lot of good possibilities there. You mentioned making it easier to set up checking accounts. I don't know what that meant, but that did perk my interest, because I know that there's still not a lot of banks that are completely internet based or allow you to do everything without having to come into a branch. So notary of documents comes to mind. Same thing with closing companies, having access to I'm losing my mind. The closing piece, having access to not having to physically do anything in person. No wet signatures, no back and forth with FedEx, but to do everything online. Eliminate. We had a closing this year that got held up for almost 2 weeks because FedEx had during the storm, in Texas, that clogged up their system, and so an overnight letter wound up taking 2 weeks to get a wet signature.
Wow.
And had it been online, completely online, then that would not have been an issue. So that's, I think, a big piece that could be a big value add.
Okay.
Yeah, the aspect of finding banks to work with funds is, from what I've got from other folks that I've talked to and worked with, it's very difficult to find banks.
I know. But yeah, to tell you the truth, these are all the problems we had when we started Avestor. So we're just trying to solve that now. I mean, they're pretty anal about, excuse the language, about working with some, real estate funds. I mean, okay, what is this? What are the assets? Where does it go? I mean, so we are talking to 2 or 3 banks, not ready yet, but these are some of the things we're working on. And exactly what you said. I don't know about the closing part of it, Jim. We are not involved in that, but really trying to make it as electronic as possible. But there's good feedback, though. We'll talk about the closing. I would love to talk to you more offline. So, but buyers right now today for Avestor, we have to go physically to the bank to send a wire above 50,000 or whatever, right? If we invest in one of your deals, we want to streamline that whole thing. When I say we don't necessarily provide that to you, but we recommend a partner, we integrate as much as possible. We don't want to get into the banking business. Don't get the idea. I don't want to give you the impression that, hey, I'm creating a bank tomorrow. Do you want to join it or something?
Yeah, we just want to find a flexible partner that's on the cutting edge of technology.
Exactly. So, and all integrated into one platform, and some of it may not be integrated, but even just a referral saying, hey, here, this is it. And they're already familiar with what to expect instead of you having to answer 1,000 different questions, right?
And I will say, from a value perspective, Badri, the more things that can be integrated so that I don't have to have a partnership with Syndication Pro and a partnership with Avestor and a partnership with, trying to integrate these things, which brings me back to the CRM question.
Okay.
What does the communication look like? How do we communicate with our investors? Do you have some pieces in place so that when we want to push out our monthly financials or a quarterly newsletter and have communications back and forth with our investors? Is that already built into the platform?
No, it's not, is the honest answer. But we are, but let me ask you a first question. How do you guys feel about us not building our own CRM, but integrating it with HubSpot or pick your favorite one? Would you guys prefer to have the CRM built in? Because we are leaning away from that. We are leaning towards just integrating it with the existing CRM. How do you guys feel about that?
Great if you would integrate with multiple. So if we're already using one, we have that option.
Yeah. I mean, you're okay with integrating rather than building? Like Syndication Pro, I believe, not to mention other people, but I think they have their own CRM. Would you guys prefer that approach, or?
I would, this is Rick speaking. I'm from a tech background, and I would rather have integrations done seamlessly rather than you building, recreating the wheel.
Exactly.
So
That's how we are all from tech backgrounds, and that's why we chose this.
exactly. So have the best in the industry integrated with what you are providing. So we have an overall best in class for everything.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Because I mean, it would be foolish of us to think that we'll give all the capability which HubSpot provides. So, not that I'm selling HubSpot, I don't get any commission for that, but whatever it is, we can't do that. And we are not, I mean, we don't have the bandwidth or the desire to do it. So.
But Badri, it is also important, like Kralin has mentioned, that being able to provide choices out there that, hey, you go with HubSpot or you go with other CRM platforms, that gives a lot more flexibility in the sense that, hey, I might already have something running on something else.
Right.
And if I'm able to integrate that with your platform, then that works great.
Absolutely. But there is a trade-off though. We can't do every single CRM out there on earth. So
which is fine. You probably start with one,
right,
and then start expanding it to a few more.
Exactly. But it will definitely be only a few, is what to set expectations. It would not be 100.
Certainly, and we don't want a new CRM being built on your platform. So
yeah, okay. So since we're talking about that, what CRM do you guys prefer? Can I see? Can I either type in the window or just? I'm just curious. What do you guys use? What do you prefer? You can speak up, or you can just type in the window. Active campaign. Okay, got it. Appfolio, which is not quite a CRM, but yeah, I understand. Okay. Oh wow, quite a collection of ones here. Oh my God. So, Jim, are you doing anything in the CRM space for GOP network? Are you trying to standardize something on that, or?
No, I'm not, Badri. I was, I will take a different approach and say that we have so many tech people on our platform. What I wanted to find for all of this, and is the reason I initially invited you here also, is that I want us to have, we have a similar vision. You know, you want to be the Amazon of this space, and we want to be an all-inclusive space in real estate, and have all of these tools everyone is going to need sooner or later. And I really like the idea of embracing an open source piece of it, because so many people that get started in this are starting on a shoestring budget. And I really like the idea of using open source, not just because it's a cheaper solution for people that are just getting started, but also because it's the growth ability. The fact that we have literally anyone that can come in and help us build this, to me, is a much more powerful idea. And it also doesn't depend on any one individual or even a team of 10 guys. You know, we're only, what, maybe 300 people on the GOP platform right now today.
Right.
So even with all the tech guys, maybe we have 50, 75 guys that could potentially build a CRM. But each one of them is going to have to dedicate a lot of time to that. I think that the problem that I see with the idea is that getting people motivated and all pointed in the same direction, kind of having that project manager that keeps pushing it forward. That's the biggest limitation so far with the idea for me. But
is there an open source CRM you would like to start as a starting point, Jim?
I'm not familiar enough with them, Badri, to know.
Okay.
If I were, I would have already been suggesting it on the platform. I'm hoping that my tech friends already know who those are and will start speaking up about them, that we could, you know, so I know they're out there. I know they exist. You know, it's just like us wanting to integrate other APIs into our underwriting model to create a universal underwriting model. I would like for the GOB to be in a position to be able to say we've got the best underwriting model in the world. If you're a part of our platform, if you're a member, it's free for you to use. But anyone else that wants to use it can buy it. You know,
Right.
we're not suggesting that everybody needs to be a member of the GOB or even wants to be. You
Right.
know, but we'd like to try to streamline these things. And it may be that we get to a point where we say, look, guys, we're going to have a monthly fee for everyone to be a member, but included in your monthly fee, you're going to have this wonderful underwriting model. You're going to have a wonderful CRM. You're going to have access to Badri's platform. You're going to have everything that you need to be a top A-class sponsor.
No,
You know,
that's a
in the
great vision.
syndication space.
Great vision. I think, I've not done much looking into open source CRM tools out there, but if anyone is familiar with it, please let me know. And how about the educational piece? I know you guys are working on that too. I'm wondering if there is an opportunity to collaborate there. We don't want to make money on education. We just want to give you snippets you can reuse. How many times do you have to define internal rate of return or cash on cash anyway? I mean, I think there's only one way. I mean, there can't be 1,000 different ways of defining that. And there can't be 1,000 different ways of saying, why is real estate good for you? So we are more than happy to collaborate where we don't need copyright on that. I mean, where we can, jointly collaborate on that. So, hey, people are dropping off. So if it's okay, let me give you a 3-minute demo of Avestor. I've been saying that. And then I know this won't do justice to it, but at least you'll get a flavor for what it looks like. So let me do that if it's okay. But I would love to. I think there's a lot more I didn't talk about, to be honest. I would love to have another call if that works for you, Jim. So.
Well, Badri, also feel free that if you need an hour to go over something that you want to go over, just put that up, set it up. You know, don't wait for if it's a conversation you want to have with me, then you and I can have a separate conversation. I had assumed that this was the conversation you wanted to have, and that's on me for making that assumption. But you
no worry. Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love, because if I knew that so many people were coming, I'd have invited my co-founders too. I thought this was the pre-conversation of just you and me talking, but I guess we don't need to have pre-conversation. So anyway, very quickly, and when you log in, you can see this is where you select your fund. Your fund would be listed here, and you can see the account balance. This is an Avestor company Avestor fund. You see the account balance, the number of deals, the return on the deals which have exited. That might seem a little low because syndication deals, as you know, don't exit so fast. And this is the total earnings and the breakdown between debt and equity. And for a lack of better word, this is a vanity map which shows you how all your deals are distributed. You can click on anything and get more information. And you can then basically, I'm giving a very quick demo. 49 out of the 50 deals were profitable. And this is a liquidity graph which you build based on the investors who want to join. They may say, hey, I've got a kid going to college in 3 years. I need some of my money back in 3 years. So in addition to that, of course, we have a portfolio details page. So there are two different analogies I'll give. From a B2B perspective, we want to become the Amazon of real estate. From a B2C perspective, for the end consumers, we want to become the Robin Hood of real estate, where you can kind of see what each slice is doing. Let me go into the equity models here, for example. So this person has invested $2,500 in each of these products. And let me pick this federal self-storage. He's made $235 so far. And when you click on this, we are very transparent about sharing who the syndicator is. We are not hiding anything here, yeah? So all the PPMs, the investor overview, the investor update, there's a full-fledged document management system. So you can upload your pictures and everything else. So we are very transparent about who the syndicator is and what the track record is and everything else. And then if they want to invest, you can just go here and click on, these are the available investments today. So whenever they want to invest, for example, let me just click on equity deals. We have these 5 deals on the platform or 5 deals on the platform today. And they click on anything and they get more information. So I just wanted to tell you, it's a very well, I'm biased, so don't take my word for it, but the feedback we have got is it's a elegant platform with a good user interface, which makes it very easy to build customizable funds. And I'm happy to give you a much more detailed demo offline. Yeah. So I
Hey,
realize,
Badri,
yeah.
do you have the ability to give everyone that has their own website the API so that it is on their website and they can click through directly from their website, takes them to?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So in fact, I mean, it'll be, so basically that's exactly what we do with our website too. It's not integrated. So if you go here, this is the Avestor website. And when you log in, it goes to a completely different page, which is completely customized for you. So you click on login and then, basically, we are offering a $300 investment credit, whatever. You guys can put whatever you want on your fund logo. So you customize this homepage and it'll be completely integrated with your website. Yes, absolutely. Other questions?
Questions and or feedback?
Or
Badri,
feedback, yes,
looking
yes,
for, he's looking for feedback from sponsors. What else we need, what else we want.
What would solve your problem? It doesn't matter. We would love to have you on the platform, but even if you don't, that's okay. But tell us what you would like. What are the problems you're trying to solve for creating a fund? If you're doing one deal at a time, Syndication Pro and all the other, again, I don't want to mention things, they're all adequate. I'm sure they'll do your job for you. But if you want to create a fund which offers your users choice, again, think buffet versus pie, I think you'll find our platform unique. Yeah. So,
Badri, what are you seeing for daily traffic on your website from potential investors?
So you have to understand that we are not in the market. It's less important for us to create a lot of investors in our fund. So if you are looking for immediate investor exposure, you're not going to get that much right now. We don't have that many investors. We have about 36 investors in our fund. But we have a pipeline of multiple funds which are starting. We started our first non-investor fund last week, and we have another one going on board in 2-3 weeks from now. And we have a rich pipeline of many funds. So you have to wait for it to grow. If the only reason you're coming for Avestor is to get immediate exposure to investors, you may want to wait a little bit. But if all the other value propositions we are providing are of interest to you, then you start and we all grow together. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So Badri, if we have several people that are already engaged with their own attorneys or they're comfortable using their own attorney, we need to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah,
and
so
that to
we would have to, I mean, we would give our template documents to your attorneys. We don't want to do that unless it's very serious, right? We don't want to just shop around our template.
Well, I'm trying to think of deals that are active right now, that people have already paid their attorneys. They already have everything set up, and they're literally launching, this month, starting to raise capital.
So Jim, sorry to interrupt, but you have to decouple a couple of things. Even if you're raising money already, you may want your own PPM for that syndication deal. This is for people who want to create a fund where you put a slice of the money you're raising. If you're one of 3 GPs raising $500,000 or $1 million each or $2 million each, you're putting that slice in the fund. For that, you require separate documents anyway. So the fund is a long-term vision. It's not about the next syndication deal you're doing. It's about the next 10 syndication deals you're doing. And it's about you building your own personal brand. When I say you personal, I mean your company brand with your investors and allowing them the customizability. So it is okay to have your syndication deal and your syndication attorney, and you can put your portion initially. And then in the future, maybe if you're working with the 3 separate GPs, then if all the GPs are not doing the Avestor platform, then you'd have to have a separate set of PPM for the syndication deal anyway. Does that make sense?
It does. But like you said, that's 2 separate thought processes. One is could we get on the platform with this deal that we're working on right now with the intent of we're not going to start a fund for this deal because we've already paid all the legal fees for this deal. So our next deal, we'll go ahead and use your model to create the fund for raising the capital on the next deal. So does this then bypass that's okay. So we're going to do 3 deals, 4 deals per year.
Okay.
What does the legal cost look like each deal? We have the fund, we've paid for the fund model up front. So what additional cost and additional legal pieces will we need as we go under contract for each new deal?
Now, the question, I guess, is would all these sponsors, would each of these deal be an individual deal, or you're working with multiple GPs? So if you're working with multiple GPs, then there won't be any additional cost because you would anyway have to create PPMs for those documents, right? So those PPMs will be with whoever the 3 GPs put together. So in your case, then there is no additional cost because you're just putting it in your fund, and you would upload the PPMs just like what we are doing, right? Because we have, I mean, we are not working with we have 30, 40 deals. We don't have, I mean, we just take their PPMs and put it. So there's no additional cost. So it depends on, are you raising the capital individually and you want to put the whole deal on the platform, or just your slice of the deal on the platform? To put your slice of the deal on the platform and in your fund, there is no additional cost because you're just uploading the existing PPMs.
So what if I personally have a fund and I buy 3 deals and put all 3 deals in that fund this year?
Are you doing the deal solo, or are you doing it with other
deals? Let's, for the sake of argument, let's say I'm doing the deals by myself.
Okay. So then you don't have to have separate PPMs for each deal. There might be a separate operating agreement, which would be a substantially lower amount. I can't tell you the exact amount depending on the complexity of the agreement, but we are, I mean, it's significantly lower because you don't need the PPMs, you don't need all the other things, because your investors have already agreed to all of that. So it's just a simple operating agreement, which, I mean, I can't tell you without knowing what the details are, but I'm thinking a few $100 or $1,000, I don't know. So, yeah.
Okay.
But again, don't.
So Marcus is on his cell phone and doesn't have the ability to, he said he's sorry if he missed it, but is there a minimum acquisition price threshold, or is there a minimum equity threshold?
No, it's up to you to create a fund. But if you're doing 1 deal a year, or you're doing 1 deal in the next 3 years, it doesn't make sense for you to create a fund. I mean, that doesn't make sense, right? So
yeah, I think the piece that people are getting confused on, Badri, is that you've used this slice and dice terminology a few times, and the ability, say you have an investor who needs to get out in 3 years. Those are all pieces that you're working on, correct? None of that exists right now.
No, the slice and dice exists, right? I mean, if you put, let's say you're raising $1 million and you put that entire $1 million portion in the fund, and you can start slicing and allocating it away. What doesn't exist is the ability for the investor to resell it somewhere else. I mean, based on the calculations. But today, as a GP, you can put $1 million of one deal in this fund, and you can start allocating it 6 months later, 3 months later, as your investors come, and you still get paid when the deal exits. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to wrap my head around still trying to wrap my head around the slice and dice piece. So my head is stuck on one model, the syndication model. And so it's hard for me to try to figure this out. I'm thinking of in the PPM. So you're saying we create one, we've got a PPM, and we set the initial minimum investment in that PPM. The PPM for the fund has a minimum investment amount, correct?
No, it's not so much yeah, you could do that. The first question is, let's go, sorry, I realize there are a lot of different complex things here. The first question is, are you doing this with, I mean, let's pick you as an example. I know it's hypothetical. Are you doing this with other people, or are you doing this on your own, the syndication deal? That's the first question. Are you one GP or multiple GPs?
To keep it simple, let's just say one GP.
Okay. So when you're doing one GP, then you do one PPM for the fund, and all you do is an operating agreement. And for that, you can completely choose your minimum. It could be as little as $5,000 or $10,000 or even less, because what you're allowing your investors is to incrementally add to your deals, right? Instead of focusing on, oh, I need 50,000 from you in the deal.
So talk to me then about that, just that piece. When you guys, and the way you did yours internally.
Exactly.
The PPM has a minimum. Did you set the minimum at $1? and then the operating agreement, then on each individual asset can change and dictate what that particular piece has its
So
minimum.
in our case, it's a little different because we are never GPs on any deal. In our case, we have a PPM and operating agreement for the fund, and every single investment we put also has a PPM and operating agreement, because we are never going to become, we are not real estate people, to be honest. We are technologists. So we don't want to become GPs. But in your case, the only thing which would change is the operating agreement for each deal. And the way we work is we invest $50,000 to $100,000 and then split that into $2,500 chunks and allocate it to investors as they come in. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Okay.
In your case, you may have $1 million chunk and you're allocating it to your investors as they come along. And your money is not tied up. I mean, yes, it's tied up, but it's also earning money. So not only the cash distribution, but also when the deal eventually exits, hopefully the deal exits someday, then you're getting a portion of the capital gains back too.
So that brings up so many other questions, but I think someone else had one, so I'll shut up.
Maybe you and I can talk more offline, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
So,
asking
Badri,
questions that I'm hoping everyone is thinking, since no one is speaking up. But Charlie, thank you for speaking up.
Yeah, no worries. So Badri, the qualifying, to qualify one of our deals to go onto your website as the fund without you having to invest in it, what's the qualifying process for that? I mean, surely you don't just allow any deal to materialize on the website.
You mean if you create your own fund?
Yeah.
If you create your own fund, we do a KYC check to make sure there is no fraud involved or anything like that. And but ultimately, it's up to you because it's your investors, right? And then we qualify the deals we invest in. We have our model, but we don't have any restrictions on what you invest in.
Right.
Because then that would be being Big Brother. I mean, at the end of the day, we are using this as a platform, and it's up to you because you're bringing your investors. And of course, you get exposure to other investors, but then you'll have to, in the marketing page, we'll help you put together. It's up to you to decide what you want to tell them. Why is your fund unique?
Right. Okay.
Oh boy. Okay. I have another call, but I'm not going to shut this one off. I'm already 10 minutes late for it. I got too involved here. I'm going to leave the recording up, and you guys continue asking Badri great questions, and I'll catch you guys later.
Thank you, Jim. And so, can I see a show of hands in terms of how many people? It doesn't matter if you're not doing it in Avestor. Is everyone here thinking of creating a fund at some point?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it. Because I was thinking about kind of bringing together like a portfolio of single family homes as residential
We'd love to talk to you. What's your name? We are really looking for people to.
Yes. So my name is Rennie Matthew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you please contact me offline, because we really want to get that going. We are talking to 2 or 3 people. I mean, if you can do single family houses, that's really what we want. See, we want to offer a variety of funds, right? I mean, we are talking to another person who wants to do a rent to buy model, where the tenant comes in and is guaranteeing appreciation for 3 years, and then they are guaranteeing to buy it. So we want innovative types of funds. So we are talking to realtors. Realtors have a little trouble getting this, right? I mean, they have a different mindset. So we would love to talk to you. We really want to get it. We're even willing to discount our first fund if you get the single family thing going. So if you want to, please reach out to me. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Badri.
For one of our.
Can you just type in your contact information in the chat window, Rennie? Sorry,
yes.
Go ahead.
Yep.
One of our follow-on funds, we're looking to do like a short-term rental like concept as well.
We love you. Please come on board. We'll discount it.
So Badri,
not that we don't love multifamily people. We love multifamily too. Please don't get us wrong. But we want new types of funds. So yeah, absolutely. Short-term rental. We are talking to a couple of people, and we would love to talk to you. Please.
So what are you actually looking for in the single family space, Badri?
Nothing. I mean, we want to offer that as one of the options. I mean, it's up to you to decide. I mean, which market are you familiar with? We are not going to tell you. I mean, maybe I'm being glib here. Maybe a fund which has 5 or 6 single-family houses and sells 10% slices or 5% slices or whatever you want is all we are thinking. Very simplistic. But you will have to manage the debt and take the portfolio loan. I mean, we'll have to talk through that, right? I mean, so yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Badri, I'm gonna have to jump off, but I did sign up for an appointment tomorrow, like where we can talk about potentially integrating our 506C portion of the fund that we just started, and then also our short-term rental fund that we're looking at getting started up here in the future as well.
Oh, perfect. The short-term rental, we are very interested in that. Meaning not for us, but for offering that kind of thing to our things, right? So we don't want to get into the real estate business. I mean, if nobody signs up for that, we will do it ourselves, but we don't want to do that. I mean, that's not our core competency. So
that's all right. Yeah.
So that means that if you say you signed up, then you probably have, I guess I have your contact information. That's great.
For our 506C one that we are just going live here like today or tomorrow, we have a bunch of properties already lined up for it, but I would be interested to see how we could potentially integrate your platform into that as well.
Okay, perfect. I would love to talk to you. So for the others still on the call, what are the challenges you're seeing for creating a fund? Hey, by the way, I'm happy to go, so don't feel obligated. I won't feel offended if you have to leave. But I'm happy to chat.
So what is your timeline, your estimated thought process on timeline as to a tipping point, or when you're going to get a significant amount of investors signed up on the website that are, whether they're prepared to invest or not, but I mean, what's your timelines for that?
It's very hard to say, right? I mean, we have our plans. We plan to have about 10 to 20 funds by the end of the year, and more than 100 funds by end of next year. And each of them will have 50 to 75 investors. So is our goal, but can I commit to it? I mean, no. I mean, that's our goal, right? There is a lot of interest in the VC community in investing in our company. So far, it's been self-funded. So we will probably do a small VC and angel investment round. And then we plan to grow pretty rapidly. So, but can I guarantee that? No, right?
No, sure. But you've got your budgets and your forecasts.
Exactly.
Done, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a financial model, and we really want to create some innovative funds there. So,
okay.
So what are some of the challenges you guys are seeing in terms of creating funds?
I would have to say it's the legal aspect of it, because I know I have like my pitch deck all ready to go, but I think the main barrier that I'm running into is where do I go to for a lawyer? How do I even set all that up? So I think
bingo. So we went through all of that, and we can help you do. We'll handhold the entire process, right? So we will not do the real estate portion of it. That's not our competency. It's up to you to do the real estate portion of it. But everything else, please set up a time. We would love to talk to you about a single family fund. So.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I set up a time, I think tomorrow. So yeah.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I think we're gradually winding down unless anybody else has any other feedback. Please take my calendar, my contact information. Please reach out. I'd love to talk to you one-on-one. It's kind of a little hard to do it with 10, 15 different people. It's all, different people have different agendas. It doesn't matter if you don't invest in Avestor, guys, but I would love to get your feedback. If you don't mind, 10 minutes of your time. Hey, what is it that you're finding challenging? All right, I guess we are kind of winding down here. Thank you so much for your time. Would love to hear from you, and we'll talk to you later then. So.
All right, thank you, Badri. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Okay, no one else here but me, so we can end.